Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anil, and in this Laravel video tutorial we will learn about the file and folder structure of the Laravel, right? So in the last video we installed the Laravel project, and these are the files and folder of that project. So we will discuss about the every folder and main files. Keep in mind that at a beginner level this is not necessary that we have to know about the each and every file and each and every folder of the Laravel, right? There is some files, if you just know about these file and folder, then that's great, like where we have to write the HTML code, model, controller, routing, file storage, config and database. If you know about these folders and you know that what kind of code we will write in this folder, then that's great. Otherwise this is not necessary that you need to know the every file and every folder to start with the Laravel, right? There is nothing like that. So we will focus especially on these folders, but we will discuss about the every file, right? So first of all, let's discuss about the app directory. So app directory is basically responsible for your core code of your application, like model, controller and middleware, right? So let's look out these all folders. In the console folder there is a kernel.php. Here we will write our custom commands, right? You know that in the Laravel we can use the lots of command, like for the start the project we use the php artisan serve, right? And the lots of command for there, like making controller, for the database and making auth and lots of things, right? We will discuss these things in the upcoming video. So but still sometime we need some extra commands so that we can just make our manual commands here, right? So after that there is a exception folder, and this is basically used for handling the exceptions. Even at the fresher level we don't work with these folders, right? Then HTTP, which is very important for the freshers or beginners. In the controllers we will just write our controllers. That simply means it will just make an interface between database and our HTML, right? Then middleware, it will just filter out the request, like authentications, encryption kind of things, like sometime redirection. Yes, this is also used by the freshers. Then kernel, in the all middleware are registered in the kernel, like. Then let's look out the models. Here we will just put the files that are related to the database connection, like models, like user .php file will connect our database with the users table, right? Then providers, this folder is still not used by the beginners, but here we will just write the authentication services and routing services and all. Sometimes we just add here manual or custom services also, right? Then bootstrap, basically there is only one main file, which is app.js, and we never make any kind of change in this file, and this will just load our application in the browser, or you can say that this is this file is responsible for the bootstrapping our application, right? Cache folder will take the cache, like when we just use some files or you can say that some code for the cache, that will just provided here. And when we are just using our project more and more, the cache will be automatically fill up here, right? Then configuration, and this folder is very much useful for the freshers, because we do any kind of configuration here, like database configuration is important for the freshers, session configurations, and sometimes email configurations kind of things, right? So all configurations are present here. Then database is again useful for the fresher, and here we write the factories, migration and seeding. Seedings simply means putting the fake data. Migration means migrate the table from one database to another database when we are using the database by many developers. Then one database want to share the database the another developer, then we use the migration for that purpose, right? Then the public folder, there is only one important file, which is php index.php, and this is the first file. Sometimes this question is asked in the interview also. This is the first file that is actually load first from our application, right? So when we just load the Laravel application, the first file which is loaded by the browser, which is the index.php, right? Then resource folder is there is we put here the public files of css, images, javascript, and sometimes local file also. And in the view we basically put our complete HTML. Right here you can see that Laravel is wonderful thought documentation kind of things, and these are mentioned here. So all HTML pages will be placed inside the view. Even we can just make the nested folder also. Routes folder is responsible for the making the routes URL for the web as well as the API. Storage is basically used for storing the files. Vendor is basically have the dependency which is loaded by the package.json or sometime custom dependency also. Environment file is defined our database credentials and all other credentials like Redis, you can see that the mailer, and sometimes we use some other credentials also like AWS. Here you can see that, all right, these kind of things, right? Then artisan, this is basically used for the command line. Package.json, which is very important, and the all configuration, all detail of our application, all dependencies, all packages are mentioned here. PHP, okay, so just go for one more folder which is test. So here we are write the unit test cases with the end-to-end and the unit test cases, both kind of test cases, right? Then a package.json file. Basically this is not useful when we are just developing the APIs, but when we use any front-end framework or library like React, Vue, or Angular, then this is useful, right? And PHP unit is helpful for the write the unit test cases. README, in the README file we can just describe our project, like what is that project, why we use, and sometimes we just describe the function and classes also, right? That how we can start our project and all kind of stuff, right? So server.php is basically used for rewrite some functionality of the Apache server or sometimes the other services also. Webpack.mix.js is again useful for the making the bundling of the public file, and this is only useful when we are just using front-end framework like Vue and React.js kind of things, like so. Now let's talk about my interview question of this video. So the interview question is that, okay, so we know that in the package.json we can define the all dependencies, but let's say we just want to make any change of our, the version of any package, that how we can do it and what command we need to run after making any change in the package.json. So you can just comment me the answer, and if you don't want to comment, then that's okay, there is no issue. You just get to know about this. If you know, then that's great. If you don't know, then you just read about it, because this is an important question for the interviews, right? So bye bye, take care, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel.